What's up, guys? So today I got a brand new video for y'all. Today I'm not going to be doing an interior detail. Today is going to be an exterior wash. I'm just going to be cleaning up and washing my uncle's Corvette Grand Sport. As you guys can see, it's pretty dusty and it has a lot of dirt and just stuff that's just been sitting there because it's just been sitting in the garage for a long time and it's just been collecting dust. So I'm going to basically just wash it, get all that stuff off, make it look shiny again. And yeah, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so what I like to do first is just pressure wash the tires, make sure I get most of the dirt that's more loosely on the tire, make sure I get all that off first, and just to kind of wet the tire first. Then I go to my non-acidic wheel and tire cleaner, and what this basically does is just breaks down all the brake dust and just dirt that's been built onto the tire. And this tire didn't really have much, but it still works really well, so I still used it. Then I go to a softer bristle brush and I go around all the spokes and make sure I get all the dirt and all the stuff that's been built on, all that off and agitated to make sure that it comes off the wheel when I wash it off. Then I go to my detailing brush, and with my detailing brush I go around all the lug nuts and I take off the dirt that's been built into the lug nuts because a lot of dirt gets trapped inside the little crevice where the lug nuts are. Then I go around all the edges and make sure I don't miss the spot where the other brush couldn't get to. Then I get a harder brush and I scrape down the brake dust that's been built up from the brakes. And since these are ceramic brakes, they do tend to break down a lot easier, and it just builds up more brake dust than what regular brakes do. Then I go to a harder bristle brush and clean around the whole tire. And then I go to my pressure washer and wash off all the chemicals and all the dirt that was agitated off. And that's how I clean the tire, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the rest of the tires. Alright guys, so once I get all the tires cleaned, I go to my pressure washer and I start wetting the whole car and just getting all that, just the dust and all the dirt that's been lightly built onto the car. I get all that off with the pressure washer. Since it does have, I think, 2,400 psi, it's enough pressure to get a lot of that off on its own. Now, it was a really windy day, so my phone kind of did move, which is why it kind of cut right there. So and I make sure I get every single piece of the car with the pressure washer to get as much of that dirt off, because when you start scrubbing it with your wash mitt, you don't want a lot of dirt on it or else it could increase your chances of scratches. Then, as you guys can see, I'm spraying a chemical there, and that's just a bug spray, and what that does, it breaks down bugs that you hit while driving, and it just helps. Then I'm gonna go to my foam cannon. With the foam cannon, I can easily and quickly just soap up the whole car, and you guys can see it's a really thick foam, and it just sits on the car and sticks on very well. Then I go to my scrub thing, and then I just start going in kind of straight lines on the car. You don't want to go in circles because that can increase the chances of swirls. Just going back and forth on the whole car and not even putting too much pressure on it because it wasn't even that dirty. So just lightly going around the whole car and agitating all that dirt on the car so that when I do wash it off, all that comes off very easily. And make sure you get inside the grill and all those little curves and just little edges that a lot of people miss while cleaning your cars. Make sure you get into all of those. And since you already cleaned the tires, you don't have to use that same scrub thing to clean the tires. And a lot of people use the same scrub to clean their car and their tires, and that's not a good idea because you could get brake dust on your scrub thing, and then that could get on your car, and you don't want that. It could ruin the paint. And after a while, you guys can see right there, I have a bucket on the side and it's filled with soap and water. And what I do, I just dip it in there, kind of mix it around and take it out so you can have a nice fresh scrub. And that reduces the chances of scratching your car. And I do like to go over the panels a couple times. And then after I scrub the whole car, I go to my pressure washer, start at the top and just move all the soap down. And the reason you start at the top is because if you start at the bottom, you're still gonna have to wet the top, and once you wet the top, all the soap is gonna go down and it's just gonna soap up the whole car. So it's better to start at the top, push it all down, and that's the most efficient way to take the soap off your car. And with the pressure washer, and that just goes with mostly any pressure washer that has a lot of PSI, don't get too close to the paint. This is due to just the amount of power that the water has. I mean, like, it's coming out at 2,400 PSI on my pressure washer, and that can easily rip off the paint of any car. And if you have like little minor scratches, little minor paint chips, it can increase those paint chips and make it even a bigger problem on your car. So try to stay as far away as possible, or if you can't, try to move it around more. Don't just focus on one spot. After I finish washing off the whole car, I'm spraying off a ceramic spray wax from Meguiar's. And all I do is just spray it on the whole entire car, on all the panels. And the cool thing about this wax is that you can apply while it's wet also. Because you guys can see, while I spray it, it's getting evenly spread across the whole entire car. So that's the cool part about this Meguiar's spray ceramic wax. And it also beads up water very easily. As you guys can see, the water is just slipping right off the car. And this is the second time that I've put this wax on the car. So the first time, what you do is you spray it on while it's wet, and you just dry it from there. You don't spray it off like I'm doing right now, but that's just for the base layer. This is the second time I'm doing it, so that this second time you could do it, or just any other time after the first, you can just spray it right off. You don't have to dry it with the wax on. And then I'm going to my towel, and I'm just going in nice, even, straight motion. You kind of don't want to go in circular motion, because the same thing as when you were scrubbing the car, it could cause a lot of swirls. So I'm just going in nice, even motions, and then I go to my second towel, and this is just to dry off all the rest of like the wet residue that's still on there. That's just to mainly just dry it like completely, and also because the other one was pretty soaked already. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it, dry off the whole entire car. And also I had to hurry because the sun was hitting the car. So if the sun's hitting the car and the car is still wet, it increases the chances of watermarks, and you don't want watermarks because those are kind of a little bit difficult to take off your car paint. And then also, as you guys can see, I opened the door, and that's just because you want to get the water off of the door jambs, and water always will get inside the door jambs because there's the little rubber piece is so that the water doesn't go into the car, but the water still goes into the door jam. So make sure you dry that off. Same thing with the trunk, you got to open that and kind of dry all that. A lot of times when you open the trunk, you're going to see a lot of water dripping, and that's just because all that water just been collecting there. And same reason why you should open them and clean them off, or else they're going to turn into watermarks, and you don't want that. After I dry off the whole car, I go ahead and dry off the rims. And make sure you dry off the rims, or as I said before, they will turn into watermarks, and sometimes watermarks on the rims are harder to take off than watermarks on the paint. So make sure you dry off the rims nice and thoroughly. So this is the end result of the wash. As you guys can see, it looks very shiny. You guys can see my reflection just super clear. There's no dirt. It's nice and shiny. Now I did dress the tires, which is why they look like nice and glossy. Now there is still some brake dust in the back, and that's just brake dust that was just built on and just never came off because it wasn't clean. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching.